Hey guys, with September over, I thought I would turn my hands back to a little bit of fermentation. So, as mentioned in the update video, once again, if you have or haven't seen it, going way back now, I was on about some water Kefir, whatever. I'm going to keep calling it random names throughout this whole series / progress. Now, I got mine online from a online website that shares a name with a rainforest, and I got it from a company called Freshly Fermented. Now, I'm not sponsored in any way, but when I make fermentation videos like this, people ask me where I get my stuff from, so I thought it was only right to say where I got mine from in this video. So if you are in the UK, they do have their own website, which is not rainforest retailer related. So you can go straight to the source. I'll put that down in the description below just because I'm kind. Now, what you need to do for this is to activate it first. So, looking at the instructions on their website, we want to add 250 ml of non-chlorinated water to a jar with 20 grams of grains. Now, the reason why I want to have a go at this is because it's basically just turning water and sugar into a carbonated drink. It's similar to kombucha, but if you're not the greatest fan of kombucha, which I have made on this channel before, it is my best performing video, but I have not touched kombucha in a little while. Mostly because it is very acidic. I find it very acidic. Whereas apparently this is a good stepping stone from carbonated drinks to this and then go to kombucha. Now, I will say there is a difference, especially in this, because you can get milk kefir grains and you can get water kefir grains. And they are very different. Where is my sugar? There it is. So all we need for this is some sugar and some water to get it started. So kind of unlike kombucha, where with kombucha you need to brew tea. With this, it is just a self-contained thing. Now I believe it is 1 tablespoon. Yes, 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now, there are various different ways of doing this, and I want to play around with quite a few, because the website that I got this from says don't use brown sugar, don't use like molasses, anything like that. Other sources are saying to keep the grains healthy, you've got to use like molasses and stuff. Now, you want to use like organic cane sugar if you've got it. I have cane sugar left over from my kombucha, but I'm just going to be using plain white sugar that you can get from the shop. Now, I'm just going to stick that in there. Now, as a side note, if you have any other fermentations on the go, say you do partake in kombucha brewing, you want to keep these separate because you don't want cross-contamination between the grains and the kombucha SCOBY, because it is all its own thing. I'm just going to give that a little stir. Now, in warmer weather, just like kombucha, these grains will multiply quite rapidly, so you will end up, just like you did with SCOBYs, you will end up with many SCOBYs. Now, I'm not sure if there's anything you can actually do with these grains. This is my first time seeing these grains. Ooh, they are... How do you get them out there? They're kind of like, I don't know if it's going to show up well on the camera. I don't really want to put them straight in my hand, but yeah. I get that spoon back. They kind of remind me of like little silica gels that you get like the moisture absorbers. Now, just like kombucha scobies, you want to activate these like as soon as you get. I'm trying to work out how I'm going to get all of it out of here without faffing about, because the bottom of the pouch doesn't really open. Can I just? Because it's very nice you've sent me a resealable pouch. Oh yeah, look at all of that goo down the bottom there. So you want to get all of these grains in here. Now this is about 20 grams in grains. But yeah, in hot weather or warmer weathers, because you want to do this at room temperature, these will multiply very quickly. But you can store them in the fridge in sugar water for up to 3 weeks if you get a large quantity of them. Right, I don't think there is particularly too much more in there. Ooh, they are quite firm. I'd say they're slightly like gelatin crystals. Like slightly absorbed gelatin crystals, but they've still got a little bit of firmness to them. Alright, want to make sure we have all of those in there. And then, all we want to do, bit of cheesecloth over the top. Now, cheesecloth's going to block out a lot of the sunlight, because you don't want to keep these in direct sunlight. And then, little band on the top. And then, if you have a marker or anything, you want to put on your date. Now, I am starting this during September, I know. So it is currently the 7th. So it is the 7th of the 9th, 25. I'm in the UK, so we do date, month, year. So we want to leave that for 20... No, we want to leave that for 48 hours. Yes, the first fermentation... No, so activation. You need to activate your grains. This will revive them from the shipping process. So 250 ml non-chlorinated water, 20 grams of your grains, add 1 tablespoon of sugar or 15 grams of sugar per 20 grams of your grains. Place your grains in a jar and cover it. Leave them for 48 hours at room temperature, ideally around 20 degrees. Strain out the grains, discard the water and sugar. There's likely that a bit of fermentation might have happened, so it may seem wasteful to discard it. So yeah, basically, this is just the prep. So in 48 hours, we're just going to tip this out, strain off the grains, and then we are going to go for the first fermentation, which is going to be 500 mils of water per 20 grams of grains. Now, as I say, as you go on, you're going to get more and more grains. They're going to multiply. They're going to split. You know, it's going to be like SCOBY madness again. But you can give these away to people. It's a lot easier to deal with, especially for like beginners if you want to try this. And of course, like the final product, you can carbonate just like you can with kombucha. But there's just no tea brewing like middle ground. So that's that. That's going to be done for 48 hours now, and I'll be back in 2 days to have a little look to see how they are getting on. Alrighty, we are back with the 48-hour first ferment for the Kefir. Now that is just a little bowl of cinnamon, just ground cinnamon, because there were some fruit flies around. Like with any ferment, fruit flies are going to gather. Now, that is just sugar water as far as I know. The grains have somewhat grown slightly. See if I can get a little bit of this water. Yep, that is just sugary water at the moment. So I'm going to quickly look back up the next steps. Alrighty, so we need to drain off this kefir grains. Right, so we're going to quickly drain off the kefir grains, see what I've got left over. Now I can tell there has been some growth there. Oh yeah. So yeah, compared to what I started with, they have indeed puffed up or expanded. Now you want 500 mils of water per 20 grams of grain. So yeah, we've got about 26 grams of grains there. There's a weird lumpy bit in there. I mean, I'm assuming that is just a kefir grain and something, but I'm just gonna save the grains and get rid of that weird lump. There we are. And then we want to add, yeah, so we've got 28 grams of grains there. So we have increased over 2 days our grains by 8 grams. So we want 500 mils of water. It's a little bit over, but that is fine. And we're really upset when we go to the fridge later and there's no water in that jug. Right, so just as a little treat, I'm going to give them a little bit of this cane sugar that I've got. Just left over from my kombucha, because obviously at the moment my kombucha's not using it. So we want 1 tablespoon in there. Make sure that is nice and dry. So yeah, there was no sugar left in the bottom. Whereas when we first started this, you might have seen there was a little bit of gritty sugar in there, just because it didn't all fully dissolve. Right, and then now we are after, so 500 ml of non-chlorinated water, 20 grams of grains, add 1 tablespoon of sugar or 15 grams per 20 grams of grains. Add the water kefir grains to the mixture, cover the jar, leave it room temperature, out of direct sunlight for 48 hours. So this could take 72 hours depending on the temperature in here. Now it is getting to that time of year where I am starting to think about closing the window, but it appears that my window has been closed for me. It's probably the builders up on the scaffolding. I was going to put that back up on the shelf. Now, the cheesecloth that I've got on there is kind of acting as a blocker for direct sunlight, so I am fine leaving that up there. And then, yeah, we come back in, I guess, 2 to 4 days to see how that's getting along. Okay, we are back on day 6 now of the kefir fermentation, growing, whatever. Now the grains to me have gotten noticeably larger. Do I have something nice that I can funnel that into? Right, so we have a measuring cup. It should be... Of course, yeah, that's not going to be 500 mils, is it? Should have used a jug. Right, so we have the measuring jug and our grains. Now we start off with 20 grams of grains. We are now up to probably about 30 something, right? Okay, turn that into like grammage. No, somehow we're still on about 20 grams. Fair play. So yeah, still about 20 grams. So I want to try bottling this now. Now all I've got is just some glass jars. I've got screw cap versions because I've made fizzy ferments before, and if you use something like this flip top bottle, which I was planning on using, I'm still struggling to get all the paper off of it. Yeah, once it pops, it's really hard to get the lid back on. So if something has over fermented and it's really fizzy, the lid's flipped over. Should probably not wave a knife around. And then, yeah, contents of the bottles hit the ceiling. So I've got some mango here, just some dried mango. So I'm gonna try and flavour one with mango. Now I'm cutting the mango up because obviously it's dried, so it's going to swell. So you want to try and get it back out the bottle again. Plus, having a little rehydrated mango snacky is not a bad thing. And then, excuse the rustling, just to carry on the yellow theme, I think I'm going to try some apricots. Now I know apricots, not everyone's thing. I'm quite a fan of dried apricots, so just going to see how this goes. What have we got on there? Little dried something. So yeah, basically, the second ferment is just going to turn some of the residual sugar into carbonation, which is why you want to use like an airtight container, so you can try and carbonate it. Now it can take a couple of days to happen, but that is fine. Just every day, just do a little. Let's see if you get a little tiss. So we want to leave a little bit of headroom, like with all carbonations. Now these glasses are 280 mils. Let's make sure the lid is on nice and tightly. This is going to go where I've been fermenting, so that one seems to spin a lot further on than that one did. But hey, then just give it a little shake. There we are. I'm going to give this a little taste test now. Chances are it's still just going to taste like sweet water, because nothing has particularly happened so far. I can see some little tiny grains in the bottom of this. So yeah, there's just a couple of teeny tiny grains in the bottom of that. And let's weigh out 500 mils of water. And we want to throw our sugar in. Now, considering that did have sugar in it, it's not very sweet tasting. So I think that does show that something has indeed happened. So a good amount of that sugar has at least been used up in the water. Now I'm just going in with some cane sugar, just because it's still early days, so we're just going to give it a little boost. Plus they recommend using organic cane sugar. And give that a good mix. So if I just do a little Scooby scoop. Just sweet water. Right, so you want to try and get all of that sugar that's in the bottom of there. To not be in the bottom when we pour it. So just make sure we get. Let's sprinkle a little bit of extra sugar in, just a little bit, just because there is still a little bit in there. You don't want to add too much sugar or too many grains, because then you can get over fermentation. So I'm just going to sprinkle in just a little bit more sugar just to make up for what's stuck in the bottom of that. And then I guess once again we just repeat the cycle. So cover goes back on, band goes back on, cinnamon back on top just to keep the fruit flies away. Get up on the shelf, and then we have our drinks, which I will monitor daily, see how they get along, and then I will report back if anything good happens with those. So hopefully see you in a couple of days. Okay, so we are kind of back with the water kefir video. Basically I had a little taste of these. Tasted kind of funky, a little bit off. And then I left them in the fridge and I kind of forgot about them. And now I'm really scared to open them because there is so much pressure in there. It is beyond belief. I have a feeling that if this was actually a square bottle, they would have detonated by now. That's why you leave the headroom, I guess. So, I'm scared. I've messed up. These have really carbonated. I will give it that. It has super carbonated. But these are not going to be for drinking. I just need to open them. And, yeah, struggling to do that. Ugh. Oh, here it comes. Ooh. Yeah, so you can see that has actually carbonated, which is good. Which means the fermentation has happened. But yeah, these tasted a little bit off. That is still... yeah. Even the smell just coming off, like the CO2 coming off, is funky. So what I've read is there might be a slight contamination. So either from the bottles, from that, the water I'm using. So today I'm going to refeed and yeah, hope for the best. I'm going to drain them off the best I can. probably leave them in that jar. And I'm going to re-sterilize all the other bottles with like baby bottle sterilizer. Okay, that's good. The top of the jar has actually returned to how it should be. That's... yeah, so if you were using a flip top jar here, once again, like, I recommend using twist top jars. If you're using a flip top jar, this would be all over the ceiling, and I don't think my ceiling could take much more, not gonna lie. So yeah, I really recommend those. Now, I have had a little look online at what's going on with my kefir grains, because they haven't really done much. So yeah, they've not done much, but that doesn't smell sulfury, that smelt sulfury. So at some point there was a contamination involved, shall we say. I might pour just a little bit off into a glass and have a little tiny taste test. Just a little tiny taste test. But yeah, I've noticed that my grains haven't really been growing, which is not a great sign, but at the same time carbonation is happening. So what I might do next is leave one plain and put fruit in one and just basically check it is properly carbonated and it's not just the fruit fermenting.
Alrighty, good morning. It is attempt number 2 at trying to flavour the water kefir, whatever. Now, these have been resting in the no rinse sanitizer. Sorry if you can hear crunching in the background. It is breakfast time for Nugget. Right, so we have brown water kefir because we last fed it with brown sugar. Now this video has taken considerably longer than I thought it would. Now, as you see, there's bubbles on top, which I'm hoping means carbonation is just around the corner and we have happy kefir. But who knows? Right, let's dig this out. I'm not going to need both of those. I was just sterilising all the bottles. Right, and this is no rinse sterilizer, so I'm going to rinse it just to get rid of it because it stays active for about an hour after removal of the stuff. So just to make sure that that's not going to kill any of the wonderful, wonderful, hopefully kefir grains or fermentation stuffs. Right, so we have just give these a bit of a shake. Once again, sorry Sam, if you make it this far through the video anyway. So, I'm going to go for raisins and cranberries in one, and then I'm going to try dates in the other one. Now obviously the raisins and cranberries, not really going to have to cut up. Now I'm not sure how much to put in, so obviously these are going to swell and absorb some of the liquid. Try not to get this all over the worktop. Bye buddy. And then we have some of the dates. Now I'm hoping, yeah, they don't have any pits in, so just gonna have a couple of dates. Now, one thing that I will say to be careful of from experimentation round 1, with the dried mango, that did turn into mush. Now, mango's quite fibrous, so I thought it was going to be alright, but it became very mushy. Like, very mushy. It basically became a spread. So, that wasn't ideal. So I'm not sure I'm going to do mango again. I might try it at some point in the future, but I don't know. Right, and then let's have a little taste test of just the... Yeah, we definitely taste some slight, or feel some slight carbonation. But you know, like any drink that you've had open for a little while, it's flat at the moment. Now these bottles are great because they have the little lines. So that's normally a good fill line. Go just above that. Because, yeah, don't really want this to explode. I think a grain went in that one. And then just like kombucha, I'm going to leave a little bit of starter in there. You don't have to, I don't think. I think you can just go fresh from the get-go. But tighten those up a little bit. Right, so we have our fruity and our dates, and then I'm just going to go in for a feed. So I'm just going to go in with standard sugar this time. Even though this is an airtight box, it is lumping. Not badly, but it is lumping. Right, so I think I've worked out it's just a little bit of one of those for about 15 grams. And then I've got one more refill of my water. And then what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to probably put this just in the fridge. Just purely to slow it down a little bit. Now I don't have my sourdough starter in the fridge, so I've got to be careful with that. And then put that over the top because that acts as a nice seal. And then, yeah, I'll be back at some point to test the carbonation of those. Alright, we are back in the gloomy kitchen of gloominess for what is hopefully a successful taste test of our Kefir water. Now, I didn't actually say in the previous clip because I'm currently editing it, and I realised I didn't mention I've used brown sugar in this. I know the website said don't use brown sugar. It's one of those things. Some people say use brown sugar, some people say don't. Brown sugar is apparently good if your Kefir grains are slightly off, so I used brown sugar to make this batch. Yeah. So anyway, this is technically the Thursday night before this video goes live. So, yeah, no going back now. No second chances. Now, this one, which is the date one, you can see like some foam on top. And there's a bit of pressure on that. This one, considerably less pressure, which is weird. So, I would have thought raisins and cranberries would have had higher sugar. So that's 20 grams of sugar per 30 grams serving. And this is going to be a pain and not actually give a breakdown, isn't it? Yeah. So we're going to give this one a go first. Hopefully it's not going to taste like sulphur like the last batch I made. Do we get a little tiss? A slight tiss. Doesn't smell like sulphur, so that's a better start. Definitely tastes a slight fermentation, and there's like a very minor alcohol-y hint, which is kind of good because, you know, not that I'm trying to make alcohol, but alcohol proves there has been a fermentation. Yeah, there's a very slight fizz on the tongue. So that one has worked, and as I say, it doesn't taste sulphurous. That one had a better fizz to it. Now, I'm not really sure what dates are going to do to a drink. I'm actually going to give this one a shake. Just see if I can... So yeah, you can see from shaking that, it's foamed up quite nicely. That one has a little bit of foam on it. So I suppose actually if I... Oh yeah. So there's definitely some carbonation going on in this one. You can see as I've opened it, shaking it might have been a bad move. Sorry for continuously clearing my throat. I had my flu jab like yesterday. So I've gone for like round 2 of being sick. Ooh, that is way more carbonated. That is so much more carbonated. It's almost like cola. I don't know if it's just like the colour of it is playing the trick on me, but like the dates and the brown sugar, the like molasses and carameliness of it is kind of like a cola. That's pretty damn good. I mean, I wish since I decided to flavour these I hadn't eaten almost a full bag of dates. Especially now I've realised that, 60% sugar. But yeah, that's so much better than I thought it was going to be. That is pretty amazing. So yeah, that is how to make kefir drinks, I guess. So I'm going to revisit this at some point in the future. Either experimenting with flavours or honing in on this, because I know this is a very long video already. It's like half an hour. And yeah, most of it's rambling. I'm not sure what to cut out. But I'm hoping to make a shorter, more to the point video in the future. Because I prefer this over kombucha. I'm going to put it out there. I prefer this over kombucha. You don't have to brew tea. You can flavour it with what you want. Like, if you want to, you could just get some, fresh orange juice. Just put some fresh orange juice in there. You don't have to brew tea, let it cool down, get the temperature right, blah, 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 blah. It's literally just, bam, sugar, water with the grains, pour it off, put in your fruit juice, job done. No faffing about with the tea. To be fair, once again, with kombucha, you end up with so many scobies so fast, which isn't necessarily a bad thing until your kombucha starts to, over ferment, and then you've either got to, get rid of your scobies, make a SCOBY hotel. You can make other things with scobies, which is good. I've got videos of that on the channel. But if there was something that I wanted to, recommend you guys to take a little step into of making fermented drinks, kefir grains are the way to go, I think. So much less hassle. Grains, water, sugar, ferment for 2 days, pour it off, throw in some fruit juice, stick it in the fridge, get your next batch going, job done. But yeah, genuinely this is good. It's much better than I thought it was going to be. It's actually kind of made me excited for playing with more of this in the future. Because I'd love to see what you can do with it. You can also, instead of giving it water, you can give it coconut water, which is something to play around with maybe in the future as well. I'll do a small side batch of coconut water kefir and water kefir, compare the two. But anyway, yeah, that wraps up this already very long video. Not sure how the thumbnail's going to be because, yeah, it looks kind of grim, but hey, that's life. I will see you next week for something possibly slightly spooky. I've already got a rough idea of what it's going to be. It's just if procrastinating Ammy lets it happen. But I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.